For wrestling diehards only, this is the Idaho Mat Chat Prepcast on IdahoSports.com.
That's right. Welcome in. It is another edition of the Idaho Mat Chat Prepcast, your weekly stop down on all the biggest Idaho high school wrestling headlines. Here on IdahoSports.com, my name is Brandon Bainey. We are coming to you live on a Tuesday night, 8 o'clock Mountain Time, 7 o'clock Pacific Time. Now that the holidays are over, we're back on our regular schedule. We'll do the Mat Chat Prepcast every Tuesday night right here on the IdahoSports.com YouTube channel, Facebook page, and X account, as well as the Idaho Wrestling News Facebook page as well. Before I introduce you to our esteemed panel of experts tonight, want to let you know that the Idaho Mat Chat Prepcast is presented by Green Solutions. Green Solutions Cleaning and Restoration. It's two brothers born in Rexburg. They've been blessed to find a way to work with one another. And as somebody who has an older brother and a younger brother, I can attest to that's not always the easiest thing to pull off. So way to go, Green Boys. Their dad put them on the wrestling mats at 5 years old, and throughout their childhood, they had a lot of success in high school and college. And they say through wrestling, we learned that having success not only takes hard work, but putting in more time than our opponents. And they say in our business, we put in the time and energy to make us great at what we do. We feel we have an edge and can help our customers have a great experience. They are the premium carpet cleaning company in the area. That is East Idaho. Their main focus over the last 3 years has been in water damage, emergencies, and disasters. No one wants to wake up to a foot of water in the basement. That being said, they've learned how to de-escalate the situation and help the customer through the difficult time. We love East Idaho and are grateful for this area and our loyal customers. Now, again, that is Green Solutions, cleaning and restoration. And of course, speaking of all the loyal customers, all the loyal wrestling fans here tonight, we want to hear from you in the chat as we are coming at you live, whether it is on the Facebook page, the YouTube channel, or on X. If you've got a question for us, if you've got a team, a player, a coach you want to give a shout out to, throw it in the comments. We'll throw it up on the screen. And while you're hanging out tonight, checking out the Mat Chat Prepcast live, if you could please hit the like button or the subscribe button and share this when it's all said and done, that is greatly appreciated as well. All right. Now that I've got all that house cleaning, housekeeping out of the way, let's bring on our panelists for tonight. From the Treasure Valley, Coach Al Fontes. Al, what's up?
Not much. Happy New Year 2025. Happy to be back.
Yes. Post holidays now, Al. I see you traded in your Santa hat for the more traditional M cap. So
taking a break.
Yeah. Santa's on vacation now. So
took the tree down today, put all the ornaments away, put it right back in its place.
Oh, so, wow.
Ready for the new year.
I think in the Bainey household, we're going to keep ours up until the Super Bowl. I think that's what we came to the agreement of. So my wife and I, so we'll hang with the Christmas lights a little longer. Here is from East Idaho, Brian Zollinger. Brian, you were taking a little flack during our Christmas Eve edition of the Mat Chat Prepcast. Everyone was calling you a Scrooge and a Grinch and all sorts of horrible names.
The Grinch is back. I'm in better mood now. Christmas is over, and we're back to wrestling. That's all I was waiting for. Rollie Lane put me right back in the spirit.
Yeah, no doubt about it. And, of course, already we're getting some comments here in the chat. Tiffany and Brian Twait, how about them Warriors go Meridian High Wrestling? And here's Travis Tyler, and he is a proud papa, no doubt about it. Welcome in, guys. Happy New Year. Let's go Sandpoint Bulldogs. Yes. Rollie Lane happened this past weekend. I think that's going to dominate a lot of our conversation, at least early on in the show. Here's Ryan Marr. Good evening. Hey, Ryan, where are you tuning in from tonight? That's the other thing. As you are shouting us out in the comments, let us know where you're watching from as well. We always love seeing what kind of footprint we're getting around the state of Idaho. We always lead off the show, guys, with the best thing that we saw from the past weekend of competition or the past week of competition. I got a feeling all of us are going to pick something from Rollie Lane Invite. Brian, you want to go first? What was the best thing you saw from the week of wrestling?
All right. I mean, there were so many good things at Raleigh. That's absolutely where I was going to go, but I knew you two would be covering that. So I'm going to go a little different. I'm going to say the battle, what did they call it? The Battle of the Gem State. The night before, the duel with Meridian and Wasatch, and then North Idaho and Umpqua. Just a fun setup on the stage, the way they did that, and to see both Meridian beat Wasatch, which was, Power of Utah versus Power of Idaho. And then to watch the College of North Idaho just demolish Umpqua was pretty cool to have, watch some of the Idaho boys on that team and Coach Booth just do a fantastic job. So fun setup, fun thing. I love that they have a college duel, a couple years in a row now with Rollie Lane. I hope that's a tradition that continues the night before, because it's something great to do if you're in Boise for Rollie Lane on Thursday night. So I thought that was a lot of fun and just a cool setup. And then to see Coach Booth, walking around at the Rollie Lane tournament, looking at Idaho kids and the other kids that were there. It's just great to see wrestling at the next level in Idaho.
Yeah, as Idaho's only collegiate wrestling program, it's great to see Coach Booth coming down, because that's not an easy trip to make. That's an 8-hour drive to come down, and you have to market yourself in your program, right? I'm sure there's kids in the Treasure Valley that have never heard of North Idaho College. And so this is a good marketing opportunity for sure. Al, before we get to the best thing that you saw from the past week, Ryan says he is tuning in from Middleton tonight. Hey, this is our good friend Max Oswald. He says hello from the Daily Bee office. This is the Bonner County Daily Bee up in Sandpoint. Max does a great job. He's the he basically runs the sports ship there at the Daily Bee. Good to see you tonight, Max. Natalie is watching tonight in Rexburg. Go Bobcats. And here is Birdwatcher, proud of my baby girl, Ava Buey. David and Michaela, lots of awesome matches at Rollie Lane. And yeah, we're going to get to all the highlights for sure. And Tiffany and Brian basically agreeing with everybody else. Some of those brackets were absolutely nuts at Rollie Lane. Yeah, the competition was fierce, Al. What was the best thing you saw from the past week?
There's a few things. I want to give a thumbs up to Todd Caddy, Scott Hill, and his staff for putting on a great tournament. This is, I think, the largest Raleigh to date. They had 14 mats. It was great talking with a lot of family and friends. I got to see my buddy Ramon Valdez from his brothers wrestle for Bishop Kelly. What's up, Ramon? Great matches in the finals. I know we'll talk more about them. But Googleman, the Carlos Valdez match was probably one of the highest scoring matches in the finals. Neville's, who's a freshman, looked solid. Win over Johns of Caldwell. And then Jordan Tyler, he was another one. I talked to him before the tournament, and he basically said his goal was to win it. He's going to leave it on the mat. Well, he showed it this weekend. We can talk more about that. But just overall, a great tournament.
Yep, no doubt. The best thing I saw from the weekend, guys, was at Rollie Lane. No surprise there. Gabe Finley from Buell finishes top of the podium. And oh, by the way, guys, kind of just under the radar, that's his 80th consecutive victory. He's got an 80-match win streak, Al. That's just incredible. That's
impressive. That's impressive, especially at this competition where there was some solid out-of-state teams as well. So they were all pushed.
Yeah, that dude is crazy. That finals match, with your opponent's unconscious in the first 30 seconds of the match is not a good sign. So the guy is scary. 80 matches is that's an amazing streak. So dude's a beast.
Yeah, and he's all about those high numbers during football season, guys. He set a new state record for the longest touchdown run in a playoff game. I think it was 99 yards. So he did that in the playoffs earlier this year. So yeah, dude, no doubt about it. So yeah, congrats to Gabe Finley from Buell and all of the outstanding wrestlers at the Rollie Lane Invite. And that is where we're going to start the conversation. Obviously, it's outside of the state tournament. Obviously, it is the biggest weekend of competition in our great state in terms of high school wrestling. Al, I know you have looked at the results. You have crunched the numbers. I made some graphics for tonight from Rollie Lane. Just in terms of the scope, you said it, largest field ever. They expanded to 14 mats, I believe, for the first time, right? And you basically said this is the ceiling. We've hit it in terms of what we can do competition-wise at one place.
Yeah, I would let Todd and Scott speak on that, but I talked to them a little bit, and I truly believe we reached. Brian, I don't think we can go too much bigger than what we had with 14 mats. But it was ran efficiently. There was 894 boys and 491 girls, and both increases from last year. In the girls, it's gone up 33% from last year, and the boys, it's gone up just under 10%. So I think we've reached the capacity pretty close.
Yeah. I don't think you could fit much more in. So, it was awesome though to see those huge brackets when you looked at that girls tournament, and to see brackets with 70 girls was, that was pretty amazing. And you could argue, competition wise, the girls bracket could have been tougher than Reno. You had girls, Olardi and Brown that were in the finals together at Reno Tournament of Champions that weren't. So at least on the girls side, you could argue that this is just as tough as some of the toughest tournaments there are. So, and it was competition on the boys, as we'll get into, was also fierce. So pretty amazing to see 14 mats. And I'm with you, Al. It'd be hard to get much bigger.
No, not there. They have to go to the rodeo ground and maybe run a series over there. That's the only way.
Yeah.
Yep, no doubt. All right, Al. So you put together some numbers for us. I threw it into a graphic. Let's take a look at this from Rollie Lane. 2025 Rollie Lane Invitational. By the numbers, approximately 1,500 wrestlers between boys and girls. A record 14 mats used, we talked about. 93 boys teams, 81 girls teams. That is simply incredible. And Al, this spanned 6 states: California, Idaho, Nevada, Oregon, Utah, and Washington. And this is now becoming a premier event, not just for Idaho schools, Al, but if you're a program from Nevada or Oregon or Washington or Utah, and you think you've got a good shot to compete for a state title in your home state, you're coming here to get better.
I agree 100%.
And then in terms of boys and girls stats on how underclassmen did, this is pretty impressive, Al, especially on the boys' side. 7 underclassmen, one individual title. That's almost half the field. 47% of the titles went to underclassmen, freshmen or sophomores.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, there's some solid kids, some brothers, that have younger brothers coming up, some new kids. Blake Nevels is a freshman, and he pretty much dominated the field against some high-caliber kids. So, yeah, we got some strong kids coming up.
Yeah, that's an amazing stat. I mean, the future's bright. There's no doubt about it. I mean, Neville's, I thought, was one of the – it could have been one of the toughest weight classes in the tournament, 126. When you looked at the All-Americans there, Saxon Scott, Bowden Banta. I mean, that was – and Draven Johns, obviously, in the finals with Neville's. That was a really impressive performance by the freshmen. And to see 7 underclassmen. How many – Al, do you know how many of those were freshmen? Was it just Neville's?
I know Neville's was a freshman, and I think in the lightweight divisions. Let me look.
Oh, the Valley kid from Homedale is a freshman too. So we Valley's a freshman. I think those are the 2 freshmen. Packer. You're right. No, there was Packer at 13 too.
Yeah, Grayson Packard. So he looked solid. I mean, he beat Camden Coots from Mountain Home. I believe he's a returning state champion. Beat him 7-2. So he's solid. He is a solid kid.
It's a solid group of freshmen and sophomores. It was fun to watch.
Yep.
Great.
And Idaho, the other thing that stood out to me, Al, in terms of these numbers and statistics is, for the most part, Idaho held serve. We defended our home venue, so to speak, against the out-of-state schools. In terms of on the boys' side, you look at the placers in the top 8. Only 37% came from another state, which is pretty good. That means Idaho was getting a lot of kids, not just to the finals, but into those consolation matches as well. In terms of the team race, it was an even split. 5 teams from Idaho, 5 teams from out of state. We'll take a look at the team races here in just a second. And then on the girls' side, I feel like the data on the girls' side, Al, is a little tougher because it is so wide open and so many teams aren't filling a full lineup. And so I feel like the data can vary quite a bit more on that girls' side.
Yeah, because if you look at the top 10 girls teams, of the top 10 teams, I think it was CUNA was the only school in the top 10 that had a champion. The rest of the team just had placers. So a majority of the 90-something% of the champions came from teams that didn't place in the top 10.
Yeah.
That was interesting to me to look through those results. That was glaring. I mean, and Wasatch wins it with 5 placers. It was just so much diversity. It left the state race. Sandpoint was impressive with 2 placers to be in sixth place. I mean, it just shows you also what, the depth and the importance of a full lineup with everybody winning matches at all the weights. What, Sandpoint did a great job with that. because that's pretty impressive to see, top 6 finish with only 2 placers, no champions. Just shows you how the depth of the Sandpoint team to be able to pull that off.
And now you've got, go ahead.
Oh, I was going to say, before we go on, we also have to look at now with the new scoring system, with the 3-point takedown, 4 near fall, we're seeing more majors and techs now than we did probably in the past because of the scoring. So you're able to score more bonus points now. The potential's a lot greater than it was in the past. So
yeah. Al, I was going to say you put the rankings where they applied for these girls teams and on the boys side as well. These rankings, are these the IdahoSports.com rankings?
They're the IdahoSports.com. If it's out of state was difficult because not all the states have updated their state rankings. So those are all the December 20, I think it was the December 25th or 26th rankings we had. Some of those are going to change based on this past weekend's performance, especially individually.
Yeah, no doubt about it. And this is something we're going to have to ask Val about when she comes on here at the bottom of the hour. Sandpoint not ranked. And I'm looking at number 1, 2, and 4, and they were 8, 9, and 10 in this team race. So that's interesting. We'll talk about that at the bottom of the hour, though, with Val in just a second. Okay, and then the team race on the boys' side. Here's the top 10. Obviously, Meridian wins the title. Going away, they repeat as Rollie Lane champs. Fruitland took 2nd. American Falls took 4th, Brian. I thought that was pretty big for the Beavers.
It is. Watching American Falls, I mean, Fruitland is obviously solid, but American Falls has the horses. The Williams, Googleman, another one of the tougher weights in the tournament at 150, took out Valdez in the finals. American Falls is loaded, and they wrestle hard. Coach Googleman always has them ready for the tournaments, so they're going to be right there with Fruitland. That's going to be a fun, definitely a 2-way race there. Buell's got some kids, obviously, but it's a 2-way race, American Falls and Fruitland. And that again, it could, Coach Googleman was reminding me, I think he was saying, we mentioned earlier how many they get from the district, but with the addition of, I think Bear Lake, he was saying they get an extra one from the district this year. So that's really going to help American Falls in that team title race.
Yeah, Bear Lake did move up to the 4A classification this year. So that'll help out a ton, certainly. Okay, let's get back to the comments here because we've got a ton piling in here, guys. Let's see. David and Michaela, it was also fun chatting with Al for a bit this weekend. Al, you're becoming more and more popular as you
I just love wrestling. People love wrestling. It's just fun being there.
Yes. Linda says Rollie Lane run very well. She's giving a shout out to Tina Slider. And Linda says sophomores are killing it this year. No doubt about it. We were talking about Neville's from Meridian High winning that title as a freshman. Neville's ran a real gauntlet. Hard to get one of those wins, but stringing 3 to 4 together for a freshman is legit. That's from Tiffany and Brian. Here is our good friend Kelly Bartlett, guys. Shout out to the 4A wrestlers and coaches in 9 weight classes. The 4A had the highest Idaho wrestler and 6 champions: Valley, Packer, Googleman, McKenzie, Hood, and Finley. We talked about a lot of those guys already. Jesse says, let's go Coeur d'Alene High. And speaking of Coeur d'Alene, guys, Coach Derek Booth. Great Raleigh tournament. Great chatting with you all. Love it, Coach Booth. Yeah. All right. I did want to give a quick shout out. Rollie Lane, they did, the coaches gave awards out for 3 boys and 3 girls, lightweight, middleweight, heavyweight on both sides. Your outstanding wrestlers, boys lightweight, was Cooper Sandoval from McQueen, Nevada. The middleweight award went to Sean Hall from Canyon Ridge. This was pretty cool, Al. He came in ranked or seeded 10th overall, and he wins at 138 pounds. That's got to be our lowest seed to win, right?
Sean Hall should have been seated higher. I mean, he's got good credentials. So, yeah, he showed it on the mat. That's the thing about rankings. Rankings can be changed. Results cannot. So, yeah, he looked solid. He had a great semifinal match to get into the final. So that was a pretty physical match against kid from American. But no, he's legit. he's going to be. I like to see him and Ryder Sequin wrestle this year before state. That would be great.
that would be fun to watch. Yeah, it's too bad Post Falls wasn't there. Just you almost drool at some of the matchups we missed with Post Falls there. But so that was, I'm glad they were somewhere else, but those would have been fun matchups, and that Hall Seguin matchup would have been one of the better.
Yeah, that would have been a juicy matchup for sure. And then the boys heavyweight award went to Gabe Finley from Buell. As we mentioned, he's won 80 matches in a row. He's 26-0 this season, 5 straight pins to win that heavyweight title there for Buell. We'll talk about the girls winners when we talk girls wrestling at the bottom of the hour. You mentioned Ryder Seguin and the Post Falls Trojans. Here's Michael in the chat, guys. Ryder Seguin had a great weekend at the Clash Duels in Wisconsin, 6-0 on the weekend, and wrestler of the tournament at 138 now.
Oh yeah, he went 6-0. And if you want to talk about the team, it's a fairly tough tournament. I was looking at they were in their first bracket. They went they won their first and lost their second. They ended up taking third in their bracket, and they dropped down to the the medal bracket, and they won 1-2 and lost 1. So I believe they placed second overall in their final bracket. But Sequin going 6-0 at a tournament like that speaks volumes against some tough Minnesota, Iowa teams and teams from Wisconsin. So kudos to him.
Yeah. And Brian, we tend to think so much in the West of, like Washington and Utah and Nevada, but you get over to those Midwestern states. I mean, Iowa, that's no joke, right?
Yeah, no, Iowa, Minnesota, Pennsylvania. I mean, traditional powerhouses, obviously at the high school and the next level. And Idaho's competed, the Greco National Championship 2 years back just showed that, we're on the map, and Ryder Seguin going back and doing what he did this weekend. Sounds like he was a wrestler of the tournament in Minnesota. That's some big ups, and congrats to him. And I haven't pulled those results up to see how Post Falls did overall. As soon as the show's over, I plan on doing that because I just completely forgot. I knew they were there, but I hadn't looked. So seeing that he went 6-0 is pretty impressive, and I want to see what the rest of the guys did back there.
Yeah. Talking about Iowa,
Lynn, our resident Trojans. Post Falls did awesome. Yep, go ahead, Al.
I was going to say, talking about Iowa, before Idaho won the national Greco title, they were the least populated, smallest state to win Fargo. Now it's Idaho. So, Iowa, I think, has 4 million people there. We have like almost 2. So, yeah, they're one of the best small school states in the country.
Yep. We're coming for you, Iowa. You better watch out.
We're right there with them.
Yep. Linda in the chat says Jolie Slider from Lewiston did amazing. She ended up taking second in her weight class. We'll talk more about girls wrestling the bottom of the hour. Tiffany and Brian, great showing at the duel for Coach Booth. Great to have you around. NIC looks loaded. Yes, they certainly do. Travis Tyler, this is Jordan Tyler's dad, Al. He says, Jordan says your math looks good, Coach.
Yeah, I told him to validate my stats and math. So we were talking a lot of math over the weekend, talking about statistics. He likes statistics and numbers. I'm like, well, I need you to let me know.
I mean, this was a big tournament, Brian, for Jordan Tyler from Sandpoint. He gets past Preston Sonner-Cranny in the semifinals, a guy that had beaten him at state last year. And then the final, comes down to the very end of the match, and he takes out a 3-time state champ from Oregon in Easton Kemper. I mean, this was a huge performance for Jordan Tyler from Sandpoint.
Yeah, I mean, we all knew he was good, but the way he came out, that Sonner-Cranny match takes out the number 2, multiple state titles, and sticks him in the second period. I mean, that was super impressive. And then the rest of the tournament, he just, takes out Cox next from New Plymouth, who was an absolute beast. And then that finals match with Kemper, like you said, multiple state titles. Jordan Tyler, just an amazing performance. And he's, I was talking with his grandpa, and Jordan Tyler's just in a different mindset this year. And, on the offense, there's nothing defense about what he's doing, and it's super impressive to see.
Yep.
I hope this is out to any college coach out there. Tyler I don't even think he's reached his potential yet.
Yeah.
He's just sort of at the edge of it. He has he's a great athlete, a lot of potential. I think he would make a great collegiate wrestler getting into that next level. Yeah.
Yep. We're certainly proud of him for sure. Okay. You were talking about Brian wanting to know how Post Falls did at the Clash over there in La Crosse, Wisconsin. We had a 6-0 performance from Ryder Seguin, and Lynn says Seth Martin went 6-0 as well. And then in terms of how they did in the actual duels, they beat Staley, Missouri 40-24. They beat Arlington Heights of Illinois 37-22. And then they fell to Washington High from Illinois 34-28. So they took basically second in their bracket, which is pretty good.
Yeah, that's super impressive. Thanks for those updates, because and then Seth Martin, obviously another just beast. Would have been fun to have him there. Some of those matchups with Seth Martin would have been fun as well. So good to see.
We did have a couple of other tournaments, really some because for North Idaho, it's hard to get down to Rollie Lane. We did have some teams. Coeur d'Alene went down and competed, certainly. Lake City, the other 6A school in Coeur d'Alene, they went over to Spokane Valley in Washington. They took third overall in the Pacific Northwest Classic, which was pretty impressive. They had 3 individual champions: Nathan Booth at 175, Garrett Leonard at 215, Sebastian Mosman at 285, the heavyweight there. And then you also had some of the smaller schools, the Orofino Invitational, the old Maniacs. Yes. Yes. So that was a fun tournament as well. There at Orofino High over the weekend also. So a lot of good competition statewide, Al. And now I feel like, you tell me, Al, as a coach, Rollie Lane is kind of the measuring stick. You figure out, okay, back half of the season, what do we need to improve on when we get to state and we see some of these faces once again?
This tournament will measure your mental and physical toughness throughout a long weekend. It'll tell you the truth of what you really got to work on. It's tougher than all our divisional state tournaments, most of the weight groups. So a lot of kids rose to the occasion. Some kids came very close of placing, and I think they have the mindset that if they can be that close at Raleigh, they're going to place at state. That's why I would say now, looking at Meridian, they have a lot of young kids coming up that are rising to the occasion that we didn't talk about 2 weeks ago. So the team race in the 6A is definitely going to be a battle.
It is. That impressed me of the tournament. It's just Meridian. I mean, the whole team just comes in shape. I mean, that's a team full of jacked athletes, and Coach is doing a fabulous job there. I was really surprised because they lost a lot last year, and to come back and win this tournament the way they did, that could be, Fruitland and American Falls in 4A and Meridian in Post Falls. Those are both going to be just 2 team races that could, go down to the wire, and it's going to be fun to watch.
Mm-hmm.
Yep. And then also here's Eddie in the chat, guys. The Traded McPherson Memorial Tournament was a great tournament on the east side of the state. Had some great head-to-head matches. That was over at Bear Lake High School in Montpelier, which is basically a stone's throw from the Utah border down there in southeast Idaho. Brian, Soda Springs won this by 3 points over Star Valley from Wyoming. Anytime you can beat Star Valley, that's pretty impressive. Yeah,
great job by Soda Springs, and it is impressive. And I think there's about 10 schools there. I think Malad, Westside, Century, I think was there, Rigby, Oakley. So, good work for Soda Springs. Pretty impressive, actually.
Yep. They finished with 167, Star Valley at 164. Century took third at 159. That was the top 3 there. So, yeah, really good weekend of competition overall for sure. We're getting ready to pivot to our girls wrestling conversation. So much to unpack from Rollie Lane. But first, we want to thank our sponsors, Green Solutions, East Idaho's trusted choice for fast, reliable flood recovery. Family-owned, expert restoration for water, mold, and fire damage, seamlessly working with your insurance. Here's Eddie. Okay, maybe I'm looking at the wrong results. Maybe I'm looking at a previous year. He says Ryrie won the trade in McPherson. First,
Yeah.
second.
For a second. Malad third. That's what I saw too.
Okay.
So
I'm on track wrestling, but I'm looking at the wrong thing, I guess. I was trying to pull it up real quick. But
I was doing the same as you said that. I was like, wow, Soda Springs beat Malad and Ryrie. that would be pretty good. So so Ryrie won it for second, Malad third, Century was fourth, and Star Valley was fifth. So 4 teams beat Star Valley. So still super impressive. And it looks like the 12-team tournament looks like it would have been a fun tournament to watch. I haven't been able to see any of the video from it, but looks good.
Yeah. If I ever have any doubts about if my info is correct or not, somebody in the chat is going to know because they were there. And that's what makes this wrestling community so great here in the state of Idaho. All right, guys, let's turn the page to girls wrestling. Chris says, bring on the girls. It was an amazing tournament. So many new girls. It was amazing. And here is a person who's always amazing when she's on the show. It is our girls wrestling advocate and expert, Val Johansson from Sandpoint up north. Val, hello. Happy New Year.
Happy New Year, guys.
Yeah,
Wow. I just want to, before we get started, I just want to tag on to the comments about Jordan Tyler, because I have a benefit of obviously being a Sandpoint coach and in the room with him. And that kid is one of the hardest working kids in the room. Any college would benefit from him because he makes your room better. He pushes your athletes, and he just does so in such a great leadership way. So I just want to give that shout out to him because he's really been the hardest worker and one of the hardest workers in the room his entire career. And obviously that's showing. When you're down with 13 seconds left and you have that heart to keep fighting, you don't need to know more than that.
Yep. Linda agrees. Jordan killed it, all caps. And of course, Linda is excited for the girls conversation here as well. So Val, you are the girls coach at Sandpoint High School. How much do the athletes from both genders fuel each other to be better and do greater? How much do the boys push the girls and vice versa at Sandpoint?
We have such a fantastic room. We practice together. And so our room is always full of energy. It is highly intense, but the girls support the boys support the girls, and they just push each other in such a fantastic way.
Yeah, it's really good to see. Here's Tiffany and Brian in the chat. First shout out on the girls' side here. Haley McNeil had a great tournament and a big win in the finals over Roxy Sheen at 152. Yeah, talk a little bit about Haley McNeil, the great wrestler from Potlatch.
She has just been so consistent her career. And from freshman year to now where she is outstanding. She just every year has gotten better and better and better. And she's just one of those wrestlers that will just go out there and grind. And she really showed that going through the 152 bracket.
And this will change eventually, Al, but this is what makes girls wrestling so great right now because Potlatch is never taking on Buell in anything else besides girls wrestling. So it's an interesting matchup for sure. Okay, so Val, what were your big takeaways just overall from Rollie Lane in terms of girls wrestling?
Number one, the 64-man bracket for girls. That is outstanding. I would say, at least on behalf of our girls, we've only had 2 girls that have been to a tournament of this size. And I think a lot of teams felt that way. Our state championship is not this large. So for Raleigh to have 64-man brackets in the female division is just outstanding. And in such a short amount of time. Thank you, Al, for your stats. But in 2021, they had 90 girls. That is not that long ago. We went from 90 to 500 in less than 5 years. That says a lot about girls wrestling.
Yeah. Al, I'm curious, and maybe you know this and maybe you don't. There were some out-of-state schools that were there competing. How much did those out-of-state teams contribute to the overall count in terms of doing these 64-man brackets, over 500 wrestlers? Because the question's going to be, well, if Rollie Lane can have bigger brackets, why can't the state tournament have bigger brackets? But how much did those out-of-state schools contribute to that number?
I don't have that number. I'd have to go look it up. As far as, totals, what percent came out of state, I don't know that number.
Okay.
I would, there was some out-of-state teams from the Nevada area brought a full team, but there was a few teams that only had a handful of kids. So I'd say it's probably, what do you think, Brian? Maybe 15% of the total?
I would say
20%.
Yeah, 2025, because you had Wasatch brought 29 girls.
Okay.
And some of the out of state had 12 or 13. So you're probably 25%. It would just be, and I haven't figured it out. I was trying to look through real quick to see if I could add it up, but I'm not fast enough to do that. But probably 25%.
Okay, interesting.
But with 10 Idaho wrestlers winning individual titles, 83% of the field.
Yeah. That was what was impressive, because the one thing you notice looking through the records, and just based on the seasons around us, Utah, Oregon, they get off to a head start. Utah's state tournament's 2 weeks earlier than ours, so they've hit a few more tournaments. A lot of our girls in Idaho have a lot less matches than the out-of-state girls at this point in the season. So to have 10 individual champions with that field of competition from the surrounding states I was actually super impressed with that.
Yeah. Val, one stat that sort of took me off a little bit was only one team, CUNA, Zoe Fry's, was the only team in the top 10 that had a champion. Every other team just only had placers. They had a few finalists here and there, but I've never seen it like that. So there was some depth in these other teams.
Which is good. You need depth. I mean, Sandpoint showed that. We had 2 placers, but we brought 15 girls.
Mm-hmm.
And you have to have depth in these tournaments. And we left a lot of points on the board. We had 4 or 5 girls go out in the blood rounds on Saturday. Mm-hmm. Those girls win one more match each, and we're climbing up there. We're competing for first or second.
Yep. So if they're in the blood round here, that equates to me, and there's our state tournament, that they have the potential to be in the top 6.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yes. So Sandpoint is a team that will contend.
Yeah, they're going to climb.
And I feel like, I'm going to put my coach hat on from Sandpoint for a second, but I feel like we have been contending, even though we don't get to come down to the Southern large tournaments other than obviously Raleigh. But these girls have won every tournament they've been in, and they are just consistently grinding. Consistently, we're coming out with champions, 6 individual champions almost per tournament. They are working extremely hard in the practice room and on the mat in competition.
Are you at Jaybird this weekend?
We are not. We are at River City Duels this weekend.
Okay.
I was going to mention that this is the first time that River City Duels is offering a girls division. So they got 8 teams coming. So we're going to go, support the North and head out to River City Duels.
Good. Yeah,
that'll be,
and it would be really tough to go back to Boise 2 weekends in a row.
Yeah, I forget that. So that'll be good up the duels. I was looking at Jaybird earlier. That's 75 girls teams, and a lot. It seems like a lot fewer out-of-state teams. A lot more in-state teams at Jaybird. So that's another girls tournament kind of. That's, you could say, not the measuring stick, but it's another measuring stick we'll have going forward. And girls is really interesting because it's not all the divisions. So I just wondered if Sandpoint was going, because that's going to be a pretty big indicator of how the state tournament's going to go. But it sounds like without Sandpoint there, and I'm sure there's a couple other top teams that won't be there, but for the most falls, I think Thunder Ridge, Eagle, it looks like it's mostly Idaho teams going to Jaybird.
Yeah, Thunder Ridge will be up here in the north at River City Duels, so we're excited for that.
That's awesome. Yeah, that'll be great. Linda in the chat says Sandpoint killed it. You did a great job. She also adds the brackets were insane for the girls, certainly. And Matt wanted to give a shout out. Thunder Ridge had 1 placer at 185, Shauna Anderson. And we've talked about this, Val, all season, that this girls' state tournament is going to be really hard to peg down just because there's so many quality teams that are all capable of coming through and winning a state title this year. I mean, look no further than the girls' team scores from Rollie Lane. The teams that are ranked 1, 2, and 4 in the state of Idaho all finish 8, 9, and 10 behind Eagle, who's ranked number 7, and your Sandpoint team that is currently unranked. We'll see if we can get that changed this weekend. The new ranking.
I hope we can get that changed this weekend.
Oh, man. But it just adds to the unpredictability that happens with girls wrestling, right?
Yes. And I just want to, I really want to talk about the 132 bracket. You had 5 ranked girls place in that 132 bracket. Now, I know this weekend was a little unique, right? With the weight allowance, girls shifted up and down quite a bit. We had a lot of movement in weight classes this weekend. But that 132 bracket was intense from beginning to end.
It was. I mean, that finals with Conrad and Olivia, that was one of the matches I was looking forward to the whole tournament. And it, Kiana went out there and handled business, but that was, I think in the IdahoSports.com pound for pound rankings in girls, that was one of the, a couple of the top 2 girls that met up there. That 32, the other bracket that I thought was a lot of fun was 114.
Oh, I agree.
Absolutely.
Yeah. That Charlie Noah, the freshman, pulls it out over Jolie Slider, Nichols returning. I mean, Ali Svarnka, that was when I saw that bracket come out, I was like, wow, this is going to be a lot of fun. And it did not disappoint. You're right. 32 and 14 girls brackets were just insane.
Yeah. I mean, 14 had 4 placers or 4 ranked girls in that placed. Yeah. I mean, those 2, I tried to catch as many of those matches as I could in between our girls' matches. Shelby Garden and the Courtney Hunt match. I mean, I feel like that was an upset match, and Shelby was very dominant in that match.
Yeah. And one of the champions, Elise Twait from Meridian, I think in Reno, she beat a girl ranked 10th in the country. But in Idaho, I don't think she's had a match. I think all her matches either been Penn or Tech Fall. What do you know about that, Val? I mean,
well, I don't have her stats with me. She wasn't one of the ones on my notes this week.
Yeah, she didn't have a problem at this tournament.
So consistent. She's a very consistent wrestler who just continues to find the top of the podium and the podium every single time she steps on the mat.
Yep. Okay, a couple of comments coming in here to catch up. Bridget says, let me pull it up here. Hold on a second. Bridget says, what about Brooklyn Anderson from Coeur d'Alene? She won also. Yep. Yes, she did a great job. We had Tiffany and Brian say the 114 girls bracket was crazy. Yes, it definitely was. And here's Steven Adams. Kiana Conrad from Blackfoot won her second Raleigh title, second outstanding wrestler, pinned every opponent, didn't have a single point scored against her. And I did want to quickly mention the 3 OW awards that were handed out on the girls' side. Kiana Conrad and the middleweights for winning that 132 gauntlet, pinning 6 straight opponents on her way to the title. The lightweight award went to Charlie Noah from Tri-Valley. We mentioned as a freshman, she takes down Jolie Slider, who is one of the toughest wrestlers out there from Lewiston. Absolutely. And then on the heavyweight side, Amy Hartman from Mountain Home wins her 3rd consecutive title at Rollie Lane, 5 straight first-round pins on the way to the OW award for the heavyweight as well. Amy Hartman, I feel like she's one of these wrestlers that's been there for 10 years because she just came in right away and just dominated Val. But a great career is wrapping up here for Amy Hartman.
And she's just a light every time you see her. Like when you see her, she will make your day better. And that is she's so enjoyable and has been explosive from day one. Yeah. From day one, she's just been an explosive, exciting wrestler to watch. And we will miss her, but she has great things in her future for wrestling.
How about those shoes?
Brooklyn Anderson in that 165. She wrestled a fantastic tournament. Sylvia Becker from Sandpoint in that match with Gavin, which was an upset. Gavin, was ranked number 3, I believe, and Sylvia was able to get around her, I believe, in the quarters, and that was pretty impressive.
Yep. Here is Johnette in the chat, guys. Go Kiana Conrad, proud mama. Yes, Kiana did so well, and just a sophomore, just scratching the potential there. David and Michaela say, how about the single Burley girl that came alone? Hanks, a team of 1. Awesome job there for the Burley Bobcats as well.
Yeah, that was an impressive match there too. She put a good one together. I was, going to say that Amy Hartman probably got one of the biggest oohs of the night. That she hit a beautiful throw there and got the crowd up on their feet there. That was super impressive. And then she goes and puts the cowboy hat on that she's known for. And
So,
Yeah.
Brandon, you were asking me how many girls came out of state. I don't have that number, but I do know as far as placers, of the 96 placers, 57% came from Idaho, 43 came from out of state.
Okay. That's a pretty good indicator, I think, of how the overall numbers were as well. About a 75-25 split. We kind of are guessing there. That checks out the math there. Chris says the 132 bracket was insane. That's my granddaughter's biggest bracket to date, even with the double bracketing before. She had never faced that before. A lot of interesting matches. Elise is a beast. It's Elise Twait, one of the sweetest girls. And don't forget Kylie Fowler at 138 from Middleton, second-year wrestler, making a name. Yeah, Val, this is going to be, for a lot of these girls, you mentioned it, this is the largest tournament they've ever been to. That is going to fuel the excitement to continue. How do you keep that momentum going now that you're going to return to some smaller competitions ahead of state?
Well, we're not number one. That is our fuel. We know that we left some points on the mat, and that's just going to keep driving us towards state. Is that motivation that it wasn't complete? We wrestled great and we're super proud of ourselves, and we can still do better and we can still improve. And so we just talked to our team this week about not being complacent. We are not done. We have to keep going. We have to keep driving. And so this weekend will be another great test. There's 4 teams coming over from Washington: Meade, Hanford, Lewis and Clark. Like, those are solid producing teams, and it'll be interesting to see how we wrestle against those girls.
Yep. It's going to be really fun to see for sure. A couple more shout outs and then we'll wrap up here. Jason says Malia Garcia looked good at 114, should be making the podium next year at Raleigh and this year at state. We will see. And then Tiffany and Brian, I'll be curious to see the updated pound for pound rankings. A couple losses from that list. Yeah, there's going to be some seismic movement, I feel like, Brian.
Yeah, there absolutely will be. I think in all divisions after this week, there's going to be some major changes. So it'll be fun to see those rankings come out. And I love the pound for pound rankings in the girls and some of the divisions that we do have the pound for pound. It's definitely going to be some shakeups. They're absolutely right.
And as a reminder, Wednesday is rankings day at IdahoSports.com. So tomorrow, those rankings will drop sometime mid-morning, maybe early afternoon. So stay tuned to IdahoSports.com for the latest updated rankings dropping tomorrow. Val, as always, we appreciate you coming on to talk about girls wrestling. So we've got River City Duels. We've got the Jaybird going on. Are there any other competitions we should have on our radar in terms of girls wrestling?
Yeah, absolutely. The Andrew Beck Memorial Tournament is also this weekend. And
is that Andrew at Grangeville High School?
Yes. Yes. And Coach Beck coached my daughter when she was on Team Idaho for a couple of years. And that's a great tournament to honor a great man who really just poured into women's wrestling in the early stages. And we're just I'm just grateful and for his contributions.
Yeah. Did I see Cadence at Eastern Oregon? I saw all 3 Idaho girls wrestling for Eastern Idaho are ranked in the top 20.
Yes.
There. And what was Cadence? Was she top 10 there ranked? Do you remember what her ranking was? I saw that today and I meant to look.
I also saw that today. I think she was top 10, 11 or might have been 11, but we're close to top 10.
Doing her dad proud, that's for sure. So that was cool to see. And it's cool to see she's being successful there. And I'm glad they named this tournament after Andrew because he contributed a lot to the sport.
Yep, absolutely.
Yep. And again, just Andrew Beck gone far too soon and gave so much to the sport, like you said, Val. And so I love the Andrew Beck Memorial Tournament. It's a great way to honor his legacy for sure. All right. Well, best of luck at the River City Duels, Val. And thanks as always for coming on to Talk Girls Wrestling. We appreciate it.
I appreciate you having me. See you next week.
All right. Sounds good. Bye.
Bye.
All right, guys. Well, we'll wrap up with maybe some other competitions that are going on in boys wrestling as well here. First of all, here's Linda in the chat. Andrew was a groovy guy. I like that. That's a good description. Certainly.
He was.
Yeah. Here's a shout out from a guy from your neck of the woods, Brian. Eddie says Austin Reeves from Hillcrest, 285 is fire. The kid has heart and grit. He went with Eddie to Virginia Beach last year as a sophomore and killed it. Future state champion. Yeah, we had a couple Idaho wrestlers go over to Virginia Beach in the off season and performed pretty well. So
yeah. Austin looks really good at heavyweight this year. Going to be fun to watch and see how he does the rest of the year. I can't remember, what did he finish up there? I don't remember, but I know I saw a couple of his matches and he was competing. Looks good.
Yes. Okay.
He finished up in third. That's what it was. So
yes. I Googled Austin Reeves, but all that came up was the guy that plays for the Lakers. So that was, I think that's the wrong Austin Reeves. Eddie says he takes a dual team every year over there to Virginia Beach. So, okay. What are the big competitions we're keeping an eye on this week? Kelly gets the ball rolling here with the 51st annual Buell Invite. That's going to be a big league event. What else is on our radar this week, guys?
And we have Madison Invitational, boys, girls, and JV, right? At Rexburg.
That's going to be a fun one. I think there's probably about 30 teams that come to that one. So that'll be a good one. And I haven't compared boys to girls to see what the difference is, which girls team. Some years there's some girls teams that come that the boys don't and vice versa. So I know the boys, there's, I think, 31 teams that show that they're coming. So we'll see.
There's Padilla Invitational at Parma. I think that was this weekend as well.
Where are you going to be at with Rocky Mountain this week, Al?
I won't be with Rocky this week. I'm going to be. I'll be at the Jaybird. I'll be with the girls Jaybird this week, and I'm going to go watch that competition. So that's where I'll be.
Awesome, Brian. Where are you going to be at? Madison Invite.
I will be. Yeah, we'll be at Madison with both the girls and the boys. I didn't realize it looks like Ryrie has a boys tournament this weekend as well.
I was just going to say the Ryrie Rumble Boys Edition this weekend also. So that's
I don't know if that's a new tournament. I know they've done the girls tournament, I think 3 years now, and that's always a fun one to go to early in December. But I don't know if I've seen the boys have a Ryrie tournament before. If anybody out there knows it, if I've missed something, but I saw that on the schedule. That's interesting.
What's that?
I was going to say, I think this is a new deal. I could be wrong on that, but
yeah.
Go ahead, Al.
I'm just seeing, we talk about the varsity, but it's great seeing more Frost-Off JV tournaments. Helps with the growth with the underclassmen. It looks like they had one at Mountain View last week, and I think they had up to 700 kids, almost 700 kids. I don't know. Let me know what that number was, but I think Kimberly JV tournaments going on this week too. So it's good to see more underclassmen tournaments going on.
Yeah. It looks like that Ryrie Rumble is going to be a who's who of 3A wrestling programs. Butte County, Melba, North Fremont, Ryrie, Salmon's going to be there. Firth, Grace, Jackson Hole, Wyoming, Star Valley, Wyoming. They're all coming over. That's going to be a big time event. Of course, Bridget at Post Falls, the River City Duels. We got the Andrew Beck tournament going on at Grangeville. And then here's one I had kind of forgotten about, guys. But Mark says the Rockwell in Salt Lake City this weekend. BK, Mountain View, Mountain Home going down there as well. Big competition. Yeah,
that's going to be fun. BK did, really well at the Rockwell Rumble last year, so it'll be interesting to see. I think you had Skellinger in the finals, Martino. Be interesting to see if we have Valdez this year and Thompson. They've got some kid Mesher. We'll see how Rockwell Rumble stacks up after this week.
Yep. Mm-hmm. Here is a comment from Tom Baumgartner, guys, in Firth. He says, speaking of Firth, Ashton had a great tournament in Bear Lake. That's Ashton Allen. I think he's at 170. I could be, or whatever the new.
He is at 175.
Yeah, 175.
State champ last year at 170. He's back at 175. So,
Tom, I'll admit it took me a second to unpack your comment because you've got Firth, Bear Lake, and then Ashton, which is where North Fremont is actually located. So it took me a second to put together what you were saying, but it makes sense now. Eddie says 175. Ryan, you were talking about JV, Al. Ryan says he had the Middleton JV last Thursday, and it was great.
Mm-hmm.
So, yeah.
There was a lot of kids.
Yep. Okay. Well, I think this is going to be another big week. That'll help us, Al, as you always say, collect more data, right?
Yeah. And do we want to mention the 100th career varsity win? Were you going to say?
Oh, yeah. Let me Al, you go ahead and set this up because I got to get the photo that came along with it still.
Yeah.
Okay, Al, go ahead and set this up.
All right. I can mention it now, but I'll wait until you set it up. I would just say if anyone knows they're coming up on a 100th career win, please let us know so we can mention it.
Yeah.
The one I'm aware of is Ty Adams, who took fourth at Rollie from Blackfoot. I think before Rollie, he had got his 100th career varsity win. So congratulations to him.
He did. I think Peterson from Shelley, because we said Ty Adams, I'm thinking Ty Peterson, but I think that's the younger brother. Clark Peterson from Shelley, I think also hit his 100th win. I saw that. I think it was maybe the week before Rollie as well.
Yes. Yeah. Sorry, Al. I totally dropped the ball on getting that picture. Here is Kenna in the chat, guys. Eli Noah for Tri-Valley, fourth at Raleigh, and then Chase Wagner over 100 career wins for Tri-Valley as well. That's awesome.
Very good.
Another 100th win in East Idaho. You had Hunter Anderson from Rigby just before Christmas. I think get his 100th win. I don't know if we mentioned that, if we've had a show or mentioned that one either. So a couple over here, Clark Peterson and Hunter Anderson. Congrats on their 100th as well.
Yep.
Yes. Yeah. And again, we want to hear these as these milestones are being crossed. We definitely want to hear about these great accomplishments, and anytime you can get to triple digits in terms of career wins, I mean, that's very impressive in a high school career. So yes. All right. I've almost got this picture uploaded here. Sorry guys. This is really good podcasting right now. So we appreciate Idaho. Yeah. If anybody ever thought this wasn't live, no, this is definitely okay. Here it is, guys. Let me
cool. Got the whole family in there. Little brother be the next 100 when.
Yep.
Idaho.
Yeah, talk to the family often. Great family. Really great to be around. So congratulations.
Yep. And here's Kayla Adams in the chat, guys. Thanks for the shout out. Eddie says Carter Britton hit his 100 as well. And Lynn says Trey Smith got his 100th win at Tri-State. And Seth Martin just got 150. That's big league, Brian. 150.
That is big league. I remember 150 is just wow. I remember last year we were just shocked to see Coulter Burton hit 200.
Yeah.
So, but Seth Martin's pushing it, man. He's about there.
Yeah, that's I know. I wasn't sure anyone would ever get close to that again, but yeah, here's Seth for sure. And here's Johnette. Go Ty, go Blackfoot, or go Ty Guy, go Blackfoot for sure. All right, guys. Well, we are just about wrapped up here on the Idaho Matt Chat Prepcast here on IdahoSports.com. Before we duck out, guys, Paul Kingsbury hosted the show the last time we did it before the new year, and really it was before Christmas also. Did a great job filling in, and he had such a great time. He actually wanted to contribute to the show tonight, even though he wasn't here. He's actually in Dietrich broadcasting a basketball game for IdahoSports.com tonight. So he wanted to send something along, and I'm going to go ahead and play it. It's just a quick video he wanted to record and send over, and then we will wrap up the show, guys.
I got Paul as a friend. I mean, oh boy.
Yeah. You got Brian.
We did not need to show that, but
It's all good.
Yeah.
Oh
Yeah.
my God.
That was again, that was from Paul, and Paul's the guy who signs the checks. So when he tells me to do something, I just,
Yeah.
okay, sure, I'll play this. Yeah, no problem. Yeah. So
I expect a pay raise after that humiliation.
yep, no doubt. Johnette says, look at you go, Brian Zollinger. And Rob Sherrill says that was awesome. So there you go. On that note, guys, it has been an absolute blast getting back into the regular routine of talking high school wrestling. We will be here every Tuesday night from now through state tournament weekend. We'll come back and recap the state tournament as well once it's all said and done. But good luck this week at all of the competitions that are going on around Idaho and down in Salt Lake City as well. I hope everybody travels safely and gets to where they're going and back safely. And I'm looking forward to another great weekend of competition. Al, as always, thank you for the time and for crunching the numbers. Oh, go ahead.
Yeah, I got one thing before we go. My article, I got a new article that I'll be sending to you, a Matt Chat series on your brother Brock Zollinger.
All right.
Learned a lot about his career. I knew he was a Fargo champion, 3-time champion. But one thing we should be proud of in Idaho, I think he is the only person in the country that has been a Fargo champion, coached a Fargo champion, officiated in the Fargo championships. I think the trifecta, I think he's the only one he's the first one, but I don't think that's been accomplished again. So more in the article to be coming out.
Very cool. I learned something about my brother from you, even, Al. That's pretty impressive.
Yeah, I learned that stat, and I'm like, wow.
Oh.
Wow. You don't even know your own brother as well as Al does.
We go to Al for knowledge, that's Encyclopedia Al. That's what we're calling him around this sport.
Al, can you tell us what Brock wants for his next birthday, since you seem to know him so well? Okay, so that'll be coming. The Matt Chat series in article form is where Al catches up with somebody who wrestled in the past in Idaho and then has gone on to a great career, sometimes in Idaho, sometimes elsewhere, but it's kind of a look to the past, somebody that's a prominent figure. And that'll be coming later on this week at IdahoSports.com. The rankings drop tomorrow as well. And of course, we'll be back here next Tuesday night once again to talk all of the results and reactions from another great week of competition here in wrestling. So thank you for tuning into the Idaho Matt Chat Prepcast, everybody. Brought to you by Green Solutions. For Al Fontes, Brian Zollinger, and Val Johansson, I'm Brandon Baney. Thanks for tuning in on IdahoSports.com.